world like a beggar, except that beneath the layer of dirt was a relatively expensive tunic. His face also did not express hunger or hardship, but held a strange expression of exultation. He sang worship songs in ringing tones of ecstasy. His praises shouted up to God the way people usually yelled to urge their men on during games or jousts. "A religious freak," some onlookers grumbled in disgust. People wondered if he might be a member of one of those heretical religious sects that were popping up here and there. One called Ordo Penitentium, the penitential order, had been gaining attention of late. His expression of happiness clashed with his unhealthful and beggarly appearance, drawing more catcalls denigrating his sanity and intelligence. Then someone recognized the face. The news spread through the crowd like an ocean wave. It was a startling revelation. He was known all over town as one of the wild youths who frequently disturbed the peace of the city, a notorious profligate who, along with his similarly wild friends, was known for engaging in lavish and bawdy parties, carousing drunkenly through the streets late at night. Madness! That was the only explanation. Jeering voices began to rise from among the crowd at seeing this high and mighty peacock so fallen. The tenor of turmoil amplified as the younger crowd began pelting him with disgusting mudclods. Others gathered around him and began pushing and shoving him about. He'd been a gang leader of sorts, and rivals seized this opportunity to prey upon him. They knocked him about, circling him as if they were baiting a bear, beating him mercilessly. He was passed raucously from one group of persecutors to another along the winding street that climbed toward the piazza, proving his madness. During all of this raucous mistreatment, his look of happiness lingered. His name was Francesco, better known as Francis, and one day he would be proclaimed a saint. Chapter 2. The Merchant and the Dreamer. From his childhood, Francis had desired to be neither the son of a rich man nor a saint. These were the days of legends, of King Arthur and Percival, of St. George and Roland and Charlemagne. Visions of knights in brilliant armour, rescuing beautiful ladies, making grand gestures of benevolence, duelling valiantly with the forces of evil, and bravely driving back the infidel from the borders of Christendom, danced in his imagination. With every breath in his body, he wanted to become a knight. Most people blame his obsession with knights and their code of chivalry on his mother, Pica, who was from Provençal. That region in southern France is credited with giving birth to many of the chansons de geste, or songs of heroic deeds, that became famous throughout Europe. French was the language of the jongleurs and troubadours who sang or recited these stories. So it is natural to assume that Francis learned that language from his mother, specifically the dialect of Provençal. There were more practical reasons for learning French, however. It was the language upon which his father's fortune was founded. Pietro di Bernardone was a merchant, a buyer, seller, and manufacturer of fine fabrics. The centre of the cloth industry was in southern France, where the great trade fairs were held each year. Thanks to the market for fine fashions among the nobility and the increasingly prosperous middle class, Pietro had bought and sold and traded his way to considerable wealth through those fairs. Even the pending birth of his first child could not dissuade him from making the journey to them. His father was therefore far away when Francis was born. Neighbours and family members, and especially Pica, had urged him to wait. But the fairs were essential to his prosperity, to the good life he assured himself that he was making for his wife and child. In his absence, Pica had her baby christened at Assisi's cathedral, San Rufino, naming him John after John the Baptist. When Pietro returned, however, he was not pleased with his wife's choice of a name. The Baptist had been a hermit who lived in the wilderness in poverty, not at all the role model for the son of a prosperous merchant. He insisted that his boy's name be changed to Francis. That name was not common in Italy, for it means the French one, but Pietro owed both his lovely French wife and his enviable livelihood to the people of that land beyond the Alps. Francis, therefore, as they say, grew up.